Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. As of the recording of this video, there's been a lot that has been going on politically here in the United States of America. But some can say in other parts of the world too, in terms of Brexit, and there in the United Kingdom with the election of Boris Johnson, and other matters around the world as well. But here in the United States, there's been a lot of activity as of late, even in the last few days. The Senate trial has occurred from the impeachment charges that have been filed by the House of Representatives. As of right now, the president has been acquitted on both charges. Now, the impeachment will stay on his record as a legacy, but there's other things that have been occurring, such as the State of the Union speech has just finished it up. There's an election coming this year, and the Iowa caucuses have become a quagmire, as results have not been coming out in a timely manner because of an app that has dissuaded and caused a lot of questions, both with Republicans and Democrats. All these things have kind of been flamed up, and we've come into a hyper-partisan atmosphere here in the United States that has really been going on even since before the election of Donald Trump, but certainly things have magnified in the past few years. Now, I would say that a lot of it is sort of complex in some manner, but really it boils down to two different viewpoints and the people behind those viewpoints and the parties and ideologies that are they're at stake. As most of you know, I am certainly one of those that is not objective. I don't hold an unbiased opinion on these matters. I fully embrace my ideology. I recognize my bias, but there's something about this hyper-partisanship that I do feel could boil over if we're not careful. You know, it's one thing to discuss ideas, but there needs to really be a foundation, not only for Americans, but other people around the world in terms of basic human freedoms. Human freedoms, not national freedoms or whatever, or the like, but just recognizing the freedoms that are really outlined in the Bill of Rights here in the United States, especially those first 10 amendments, but essentially recognized by most democratic type style governments out there that recognize essentially a free people, which includes free enterprise. I think if you have a foundation of truth there, then I think any kind of disagreements that can occur from that won't be as harsh. But nowadays, things have moved where both sides have become more polarized. And how does it affect precious metals? Well, it just depends. Turmoil in these markets that could overflow with certain protests or certain things that can occur, such as what happened with the Iowa caucus. Now, that is something that is very temporary. They are working to get those results in as I record this video. But there's problems that can occur, certainly that can cause uncertainty, and that will affect the markets. You know, if you look at what people are saying on social media in terms of things such as political viewpoints, ideological viewpoints, harsh personal attacks that occur not only on national figures but also with private individuals that are engaged in the debate. You know, it's when you see things like that, such harsh things said personally, and you can't come to any kind of agreement to disagree, well, then things can turn ugly very quickly. And that's what civil wars are made out of. And in a case like that, and I hate to say it, but if it does come to that, well, the precious metals will certainly react accordingly. They react not only in times of economic instability, but I also feel like they could react in terms of social unrest. And I believe that considering what has happened over the past weeks, months, years, days, in terms of the discourse that I've seen and others of you have seen out there, it becomes more of a possibility that Americans or people in other places could come to a point of conflict that causes social unrest. And that will affect precious metals. I believe this is an area, if we think about it, this is an area that we can control. No matter what ideology you have, my feeling is that if you can approach people respectfully and in debate while holding your positions, I think that's the best way to move forward. And it's about respecting people and realizing that there are certain things that make us human that go beyond the political discourse. And because none of us want this kind of unrest, but make no mistake, if it happens, precious metals will react, and I believe they will go up in price dramatically, especially if some of this happens where it is occurring to cause any kind of uncertainty or government instability. And government instability and the fact that not knowing exactly what kind of system will be in place, especially in terms of elections. The Iowa caucus, though very rare and unusual, it was unforeseen. If there's any kind of election questions or uncertainty, things could flame up very quickly. And in this hyper-partisan age that we live in, for that to occur, especially in a general election for president, that could cause some real problems. My guess is it probably won't happen, especially considering that the Iowa caucuses was a really a unique event. It's not going to be something that's going to be happening in other states for other Democratic primaries, I believe. But some people do feel like it's already causing questions to arise from this as to what's going on. I'm sure campaigns will protest it in one way or another, but it just takes something like that, but in a sense on a larger scale, to have a real sense of uncertainty and questioning, and that could lead to unrest down the road. And it's that unrest that I think will move prices. But even if it doesn't cause that kind of social unrest, I think the nature of where our country is going, and that hyper-partisanship, some people say that Trump was elected as a response to Obama. Well, if a Democrat gets elected in response that moves the other way, the pendulum is swinging far to the left. Some people feel like that with Trump being elected, it's moving far to the right. If it gets too far to the left, that's going to cause even more questions and problems on the other side. And some people feel if it swings too far to the right, it's going to do the same thing in another way. But nonetheless, I believe that the idea that we should strive for is less government intrusion, no matter what your ideology is. In fact, there was a time when liberals just talked about in government intrusion in certain areas of their lives. But you come to realize that in this day and age, the leftists, they only use it to equate their own what they consider to be government intrusion is a very different thing, because they feel like the government should be intrusive in many other areas. And so it's sort of an inconsistent argument, but I think if we can come to an idea where Republicans and Democrats, or whatever the parties are in your country, can have a basic foundation of agreement on certain fundamental issues that define what your nation is about, it makes things a lot easier whenever there is disagreements, because they're petty. There's core values and core truths. If you base it off those, you go back to those as a foundation, then everything else is not as problematic. But regardless, this is the state that we live in today, and we'll see how things play out. This is an election year. Things will get testy. They already are. Nancy Pelosi ripped up the speech that was given to her by President Donald Trump last night in an act that most would agree was childish and cowardice and is not playing well. What could happen if the Speaker of the House does that? What will happen on the streets? What could happen somewhere else that some other politician does? So it's something to think about and consider in this age. It's a very troubling time, I feel, in some ways. And this is another reason why we hold precious metals and we stack them for times of economic and social uncertainty. And this is the day. I pray for our nation that we can come together under foundational and basic truths. And those truths, I believe, are found in the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. I encourage all Americans, and in fact, everyone around the world, to read those documents online. You can find them very easily. Those are the foundational truths of this nation. No matter what ideology you have, and especially if you're an American, I think it is crucial, it is important to come back to those foundational truths of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. Hope this video was encouraging to you, and I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.